Hi, I'm Julie Skoda, and I'm a pastel artist from the Chicago area, and I'm really excited to be able to lead you through this workshop today. And we're going to be painting one of my favorite topics, which is the mangroves of Florida. My family and I spend a little bit of time there in the winter to escape some of the cold weather in Chicago, so it's one of topics that's familiar to me, and it's a topic that I found I can kind of get a little bit of more of an impressionistic feel by starting with the shapes, the loose broad strokes, and gradually adding a little detail. It's just a fun way for me to work with water and just keep it very simple from the start. And as you can tell, it does get a little more complicated as we go, but we have 3 hours to work through this, and I'm excited to answer any questions at the end and get your feedback on this process. I work the whole page on each layer is kind of my style. I don't try to focus in one area too quickly, although I did focus a little bit on the, this is more of the center of interest in this painting, so I did spend a little bit more time in there as we go. So I'm just going to briefly tell you what supplies we're going to use today. I was lucky enough to pick out a set of 16 beautiful colors from Unison. They are half sticks, which is the size I like to use because of how I handle the stick. I like to hold it on the broad edge, so you'll see me doing that throughout the demonstration. And as I get detailed, I can use like this edge to make a nice clean line, or the point. So we'll show you a little bit of that as we go. I can show you quickly on here, but when you just make a little mark, you get a nice edge. I can get a line, I can get a point. You know, so fun little shapes just with one stick, even though it's, it's about a ½ inch thick, but it still has a lot of versatility. So we'll use these pastels. If you don't have this set or these colors, if you have something similar is great, or anything that you have available to you. I'm going to start with an underpainting, and I'm going to use, I have a set of pan watercolors, but for this, any watercolors will work that you have. It can be a very inexpensive set, something just, just something to get color on. You'll want a brush. This one's about 3/4 to an inch wide. Once again, an inexpensive brush, because when it hits the sanded paper, it's gonna destroy the paper or destroy the brush a little bit. So we want to be careful with that. And I'll be using Lux Archival sanded paper. 11 by 14 is the size I'm working with. And it's got a nice, I like this paper because it's sturdy enough to hold the water media. It's got a nice grit, sanded grit that holds a lot of pastel and layers, and we are going to be building up a few layers on this painting. Any sanded paper that you have will work, or any paper that holds water media. If you didn't have water media available to you or sanded paper, you can also start this first layer with the pastel sticks and using a piece of foam or pipe foam insulation or something to work that first layer into the surface. So we'll go through that. Let's see, other supplies. I do tend to wear a glove, so if that's something you'd like to do, I've got these great gloves here. I'll be wearing that throughout the demonstration. You'll need a surface to attach your paper to. I use a piece of, today I'll be using a piece of black foam board. It's actually gator board, and I have black tape. But if you have white, whatever you have for a surface, just to attach it to, so we can paint vertically. And I'll use tape, which works great. I do a hinge tape method. I'll show you that. Got a little cup, something to put water in for the watercolors. I'm going to also briefly do a spray method to the watercolor in the underpainting, which is really fun, and when you see this closer as we go throughout, a lot of this water spraying method shows through and adds a little sparkle into the water, so that was kind of a fun thing to add. So I've got that. I always start with a small value study, so either pencil works great if you have a number 2 pencil. I demonstrate both a pencil value study and using the Tombow markers. I've got 3 values of the grayscale markers. So that will be another thing that I use, but I don't go out and buy any of this stuff. A pencil works great, and a little piece of sketch paper. So we've got that. The other thing I love to use, and I will show it today, I have to bring it up with me, is, oh, here it is, here we go, is my view catcher. I love this because I can size it to the size of my paper, and it helps me keep my value sketch really small, thinking about shapes and value only. So this is, you know, very, very tiny. Great size for your little piece of sketch paper. I think that's about all we need to get started. If you have a ruler, I did use it just to kind of check my horizon line at one point, but it's not super important, as this is, we're not being really terribly realistic. It's more of a, I like to call it abstract realism. It ended up being more than that, I guess, but just starting with these broad, big strokes and getting to the smaller little marks and pops of color to add interest and to get our painting started. So that's our process for today. And you get all your supplies together and we'll get started with the demo.